The ultimate tournament of everything.
Welcome to the Tournament of Everything, a bracket-style show where we compare everything that ever was against everything that probably ever will be.
Absolutely, and we do so by getting ourselves a beautiful, brand new circle light, and then we take everything else, stretch it out into a film, place it in front of that light, and then grade them one by one on how they make us look. Which one will make us feel fantastic about our appearance? Well, that will be the one that we will vainly be moving on as our champion to the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
I feel pretty.
Oh So Pretty.
I feel pretty.
And witty?
And vain.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of vein, let's get down to the main vein. The pulsing corridor of exactly what it is that we're doing here, and explain exactly how we'll be doing so.
We will be actually taking random pages off Wikipedia and looking at them 2 by 2 over 9 rounds of the most random thing you've probably heard today. We will compare them, learn about them, discuss them, and figure out which one would move on to an imaginary round 2 of our tournament. Now, why is round 2 imaginary? Because infinity is really an irrational number.
Oh man, Rob, my blood is already just pulsing. I can feel my heart beating and my blood pressure rising. So before I have some sort of, cardiac event, let's get in to round 1. Round one.
In round 1, we have Mary Hayes Chynoweth against Environmental Risk Management Authority.
We have in this round 2 individuals who are, trying to preserve things, make them better. And I can't wait to see which one's going to get the better of the other and move on to the next round. So let's jump right in to the knowledge.
Mary Hayes Chynoweth, not to be confused with Ricky Gervais, was born August 25th, 1955, and is a Canadian diplomat who served as the ambassador of Canada to Germany from September of 2013 to May of 2017.
Educated in Laval University, Quebec. She also holds a diploma of International Relations Studies from the Institut des Études Politiques de Paris and a Diploma d'Etudes Approfondies from the, these are so many words I've never pronounced before, Écoles des Hautes Études and Sciences Sociales in France. Look, this lady, unlike myself, speaks multiple languages, including, but possibly not limited to, French, English, Spanish, German, and Italian.
She's had a broad-ranging diplomatic career all the way from 1998 to 2000 and at least now. In 2001, she specialized in human rights and human security issues and served as Deputy Permanent Representative at the Canadian Mission to the UN in Geneva and as reporter of the Commission on Human Rights. She was a spokesman, or woman, for the Western Group at the World Conference on Racism in Durban in 2001, and in 2002 she was Director General responsible for global issues in the Department of Foreign Affairs in Ottawa and head of the Canadian delegation to the 58th session on the Commission on Human Rights.
This was a lady who had her hand in a lot of things where they kind of needed an extra hand up. She was trying to help people who needed help. In 2002, as you said, Director General responsible for global issues for the Department of Foreign Affairs in Ottawa, head of the Canadian delegation to the 58th session of the Commission on Human Rights, and she was not done even yet. From 2005 to 9, she was Canada's ambassador to Austria and the permanent representative of Canada to the international organizations at Vienna. Thereafter, even, she worked at a NATO expert group to develop a new strategic concept. This was somebody who just really could not be stopped from making a positive influence on the world.
Now, her competitor out of New Zealand, also strives to make a positive influence on the world, and we're talking, of course, about the Environmental Risk Management Authority, known as IRMA. Now, IRMA was actually disestablished in 2011 as its functions were taken over by the EPA, but while it was around, it was a government agency that controlled the introduction of hazardous substances and new organisms, including invasive species and genetically modified ones.
This IRMA was principally responsible for implementing the Hazardous Substances and New Organisms Act of 1996, also known as the HSNO, and the aim of IRMA was stated as, quote, achieve effective prevention or management of risks to the environment, public health, and safety associated with importing or manufacturing hazardous substances and introducing new organisms and their use.
That's right. Their whole goal is to give you options and weigh your risks. So they would look at introducing new organisms or introducing new materials and say, what are the benefits? What are the downsides? What are the things people need to know about these new things we're introducing? Now, they did their thorough decision-making process on applications and looked at the risk to the environment and public health.
Though, to mitigate any risks, they applied controls, where relevant and possible, to the application. Just as in everyday life, we wear seatbelts to reduce the risks associated with driving. These controls with these new substances, possibly hazardous, might include housing the organism or substance in a specifically designed laboratory, or they may be to simply wear protective equipment when handling a certain hazardous chemical.
I feel like anytime there's been an animal or substance held in a laboratory to keep everybody safe from it, it generally escapes and becomes the new plot of a Jurassic Park movie.
Yes, I believe that even, what was that one with all the zombies where they come up? Resident Evil. Things always start with the best of intentions, and I think that's exactly what they had, only with a fictional, circumstance perhaps, evolve into such a thing, but that's exactly what the goal of this authority was to prevent. But speaking of authority, I would say that our other competitor, Mary Hayes Chynoweth, was an authority on a number of topics.
Yeah, and I think she's probably the most well qualified to put up a fight in round 2 because IRMA already isn't a thing.
They had to eventually. They got usurped, as you said, by what was the
EPA?
The EPA, yeah. So somebody came over and said, "Hey, I think we can do your job better for you, if you will." Now, the same is not necessarily untrue, though, for our Mary Hayes Chynoweth, for she was only in office from 2013 to 2017, in which case she was succeeded by Stephanie Dion, who apparently had the same sentiments that she could do it better.
Yeah, that's the thing about politics. You're only there while you're useful, and you're not useful very long. So the question is, which now defunct programmer politician deserves a second chance in this tournament?
Well, this Environmental Risk Management Authority, I liked what they were doing. They had a nice little slogan there, their aim, as we've already read, but it's made up of individuals. And so if you were to remove any one of those individuals, perhaps the thing would have fallen apart. However, if you would have replaced any of those individuals with our other competitor, Mary Hayes Chynoweth, I think it may have been even improved, thus proving the value of her. And so I think I'm going to choose this Canadian diplomat as my selection to move on to the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
I have to agree with you just because it sounds like she has done more in her time there than IRMA did in its time.
Yeah, the EPA came over and took over. Here in America, we've got our own EPA, and it is definitely still in existence, but we still have our own issues. So if that's what's going on, I'm going to assume they have their own issues. And I just don't think that we can do anything but issue a pass to the next round to this Mary Hayes Chynoweth.
And we're going to pass right along to our next round as well.
Round 2.
It's time for round 2.
In round 2, we have Vidin Progressal against You Drive, the episode from the Twilight Zone.
2 things that might blow your mind just a little bit. We've got a neighborhood located in the northeast of Braille, Romania, roughly between Calea Galataj and Izia, there in Romania, versus this You Drive episode of the Twilight Zone. Is meant to open doors into other possibilities of realms that could exist. There's that guy who stood in front of a door in front of those episodes who would try and scare you just a little bit. Imagine if you will. Imagine if you will. Who will win this episode or this round? We'll have to see if that comes to fruition. Lots of twists and turns ahead. Let's learn about them both.
Vidin Progressal is a new area built over the existing neighborhood in the mid to late 1970s. Old houses have been demolished and new buildings, block houses, have been erected instead. The large majority of the new inhabitants used to work on Progressal, nowadays called Promex Industrial Plant. Not all the old neighborhood was demolished. Part of it still exists today near the main road, Calais Galati. Now, many of the people living here are old inhabitants. Newcomers are in large majority peasants that were trained in professional schools to cope with industrial working requirements. The newcomers used to commute from their villages to Brela to get work, but settled here as soon as the new block houses have finished. So it sounds like this is a town that really built up around a factory.
Yeah, it also seems like a place with a lot of potential strife, a lot of potential, things that might be surprising and otherworldly, just like certain episodes of the series The Twilight Zone, including but possibly not limited to You Drive, which originally aired on January 3rd of 1964 on CBS. Now, in this episode, the perpetrator of a fatal hit and run is hounded by the very car that he committed the crime with. And it seems that Earl Hammer Jr. reprised this story as he had already used it in the 1954 TV series Justice.
That TV series probably wasn't very popular, hence why no one noticed at the time. Now, the opening narration begins with Oliver Pope driving. Portrait of a nervous man. Oliver Pope by name, office manager by profession.
Creepy music.
A man beset by life's problems. His job, his salary, the competition to get ahead. Obviously, Mr. Pope's mind is not on his driving.
You gotta keep focused on where it is that you're going. And it seems that for a moment, the character in this episode did not do so. However, it seems as though the people in Vidin Progressul, they've always been focused on just kind of being where they are, trying to make it by, including, to this day, the economic life is based basically in that town around the major factory which resides in this area. It used to provide jobs to over 13,000 workers, men and women as well. And the neighborhood prospered in the communist regime. It then experienced major fallback in the 1990s. And currently, after 2004, the economic life has also improved. A supermarket was opened, a small church was built, and the plant was split into different parts and sold out, creating few but new jobs.
As with many things in the communist regime that is this area in the 90s, things fell apart when the Soviet bloc fell, and this town is rebuilding. Now, the town, called Progress in English, has a nursery, a kindergarten, a general school, and they are slowly working to rebuild the life that they once had.
Yes, and that is a privilege not granted to all, including certain members of the episode You Drive from the series The Twilight Zone. 4. Oliver Pope was an office manager, nervous and distracted, mind not on driving, we've established that, and as a result, he slams his 1956 Ford Fairlane Club sedan into one Timmy Danvers, a young boy delivering papers on a bicycle, injuring him seriously enough that the boy eventually passes of his injuries. Before long, Pope's Ford seems to take on a mind of its own, rebelling against his owner. At first, when Ollie's near the car, it honks its horn, flashes its light, attempts to start on its own, and things just go downhill from there. Pope makes excuses, trying to cover up his crime, and in the end, the car drives him to a police station where he gets out and walks in to confess.
Well, it's nice that we do get some justice in that episode. The closing narration. All persons attempting to conceal criminal acts involving their cars are hereby warned. Check first to see that underneath that chrome there does not lie a conscience, especially if you're driving along a rain-soaked highway in the Twilight Zone. Yeah, that's probably exactly how it went. Now, interesting fact here, Edward Andrews refused to appear in the scene where Oliver Pope was almost run over by his car, and his stand-in was actually pinned underneath the front tire.
That was a good call.
Yeah. It's almost like you're filming an episode where somebody gets accidentally run over and you accidentally run somebody over.
Well, again, begs the ultimate question. Does life imitate art, or does art imitate life? And I think the answer is always both at the same time. But speaking about the life of art and the art of life, this Vidin Progressul town seems to be a place where one might be able to divine a lot of inspirational and revelational points.
There's some things there, but I don't think it's got the cultural impact that the Twilight Zone has, and I think for that reason I'm going to move You Drive, driving right along into round 2.
Absolutely. I think I'm going to agree. It stayed right between the lanes, and it's going to cross the finish line in first place here in this initial round. Moving on to the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Yeah, you can't beat that. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happens in that show, The Twilight Zone, and it's always worth a look, especially as we happen to be presently in this creepy, spooky season of October. But we also find ourselves in that creepy, spooky round. Round 3.
It's time for round 3.
Terrifying. In round 3, we have the National Undersea Research Program against the year 1939, not everywhere, just in Norway.
Yes, we have two things that would soon be underwater. The National Undersea Research Program, or NURP, if you will, the U.S. government program investigating undersea research versus 1939 in Norway. 1939 was a year that was just before a few very tumultuous years. We've here got a list of notable births and a list of notable deaths. Can't wait to see which one will be more notable as we note them into the victor's line.
Now, NURP, the U.S. government program that operates 6 facilities for undersea research, including the world's only permanent undersea research facility, Aquarius, is operated under the auspices of the Office of Oceanic and Atmospheric Research, a division of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Each center is funded by a grant from NOAA, chosen upon peer review, and we have research centers in Hawaii, Alaska, Connecticut, New Jersey, California, and Florida.
Yep, and they're all submerged, but their low position doesn't mean that they're not of high importance. Definitely, there's a lot. They say that the seas are the most unexplored portion of the Earth, that we know perhaps more about space than we do about our very own oceans. And these individuals at NURP are trying to see that is unraveled quite a bit. Speaking of unraveled, let's unravel the mystery that is 1939 in Norway.
Well, there's not much mystery here. It was the year 1939, and there were 4 major events that took place then. May 17th, Sweden, Norway, and Finland refused Germany's offer of non-aggression pacts. June 1st, the Oslo airport is opened. Also on June 1st, another airport is opened, and on September 1st, Norway, Finland, Sweden, and Switzerland declare their neutrality, which is pretty close to a non-aggression pact, I would say.
I would say. However, people still had means to get out their aggressions and express themselves, including but not limited to sports, including Norwegian football, music. There was still music happening. They were making films. There was literature. All I can tell from this article is that those things did exist and take place. However, I have no further elaboration that I can't share it with you. But it was definitely there. Mostly what we have here are notable births, which is actually a longer list than the notable deaths, including, we got a picture here of somebody named Jens Braille. Let's see. He was the Prime Minister of Norway and served as an elected official representing the Conservative Party.
Yeah, there were a lot of people born, and some people died, and the people listed are all famous. We include models, physicists, actors, politicians, judges, world champions, and even skiers.
Assumably, there were a lot of people born and, would you say unborn, in this year who did not quite make this list. But, they probably deserved a list of their own. I think that if there were scientists, scientists try to be thorough and include all points of data, including those perhaps here in the NURP, the National Undersea Research Program. If they had been creating that the other article, they might have included a few more, just everymans.
Yeah, they might have, but they also might have given them new acronyms like NURP and HURL. HURL, of course, being the National Underwater Research Center for Hawaii in the Western Pacific, and the University of Hawaii's Undersea Research Laboratory, hence the acronym. And as I always say, you cannot live in the past, and 1939 is nothing but the past. Well, I think the National Undersea Research Program is looking forward to the future, and they have a sense of humor as they do it.
They do. So I think that's the very reason why this undersea program is going to float to the top of this round and move on, if you're in concurrence.
Absolutely.
All right. NURP, you are our choice to move on to the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Mom, I got a job at HURL.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were applying at NURP.
Excuse you.
Yeah, I think that under the sea, there's so many things that are down there that we don't even know about yet. It's our own planet, and
Under the sea?
Under the sea.
Under the sea.
Yeah, it's better down where it's wetter, and in round
Take it
two.
from me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on and see if it gets even greater in round 4.
My round 4 is ready.
In round 4, we have Eupithecia jeffrenata against Soibodashi Station.
We surely do. Before I get to an explanation of the first individual there, I'm just going to go ahead and say we've got Suidobashi Station. It straddles Tokyo's Chiyoda and Bunkyo wards. It's a railway station, and of course, this show would not even be on the tracks if we didn't have the type that our other competitor was, Eupithecia jeffrenata, a moth.
Not just any moth, a moth found in the family Geometridae, found in Libya. If you have been following the show for any length of time, you would know that Infinity is dominated by two huge competitors, moths and small villages in Iran. Why is it that way? I don't know. I didn't make the universe, but they happen to show up quite a lot.
They truly, duly do, and we're always glad to see them. However, their articles do tend to be quite short. Let me read it to you in entirety. Eupithecia jeffrenata is a moth of the family Geometridae and found in Libya.
That's the whole thing. He's not taking a pause for effect. That's the article.
Indeed. Moths do tend to be relatively small creatures, but I would really think that, if you're going to make an entry of them, you might have a little more to add, unless they are truly that unremarkable, to which I would have to disagree offhand. Though, our other competitor, Suidobashi Station, definitely seems to be slightly more remarkable, for there are more remarks here. Already we've told you that it straddles the Chiyoda and Bunkyo wards. It's operated jointly by the East Japan Railway Company, or JR East, as well as the Tokyo Metropolitan Bureau of Transportation, or TOEI.
Now, the JR East part of the station is located on an elevated viaduct and has two side platforms serving the Chuosuba line tracks, with Platform 1 being used by westbound trains and Platform 2 being used by eastbound trains. South of those platforms, there are an extra 2 tracks for the Chuo line rapid trains, which pass the station and do not stop. There are 2 exits from the station, one east and another one, I'm assuming, west, although it does not say.
Well, we can definitely say that the East is the busier of the two, and it features a few additional amenities, such as a staffed Midori no Madoguchi ticket office. It also has ticket vending machines, lockers, and toilets, whereas the West exit, it does have all of these amenities except for the aforementioned ticket office.
Well, it does mention it then. There we go. East and West. But which is the best?
Well, there's a lot going on there. People are going hither and yon, if you will, but moths tend to either stay where they are or have a small migrational period location, typically north to south due to seasonal things. But I'm no moth expert. The person that wrote this must not have been either, because it didn't include any other real information. However, I do always love a moth.
Yeah, there's just something special about moths on this show, and I think some of it is the mystery for me, because I don't know if this is real or if some guy just put a bunch of consonants together and said, it's a moth now.
Yeah, and this, this station, while I'm sure very functional, look, it's nice to be able to get where you're going to go, but, it looks like, there's a picture here, it looks like another train station, another little train platform, and while that's cool and all, it's underground, and if you keep a moth underground, it's just going to end up on a light. That's not where it belongs. It belongs out there flying free, and so I think we should let it fly free into round 2.
The ultimate tournament junk everything.
Like a moth to the flame, so moths head to the finish line of this tournament. Into round 2 you go, Eupathecia Jeffrenata.
Yes, Eupathecia, you are a champion. Moving on, and I think we should move on to round 5.
Round 5.
In round 5, we have Maidstone United FC against the Biathlon World Championships 2016, specifically the men's relay.
All right, yes, indeed. We had a lot of people here in both of these teams that could really run, and we'll see which one's going to be able to cross the finish line in first place in this field of 2 here in this round of 5. Let's dig right in.
The original Maidstone United was an English football, of course, soccer club from Maidstone in Kent, which existed from 1897 to 1992. The club played in the Football League 4th Division from 1989 until their demise in 1992. And during their time in the league, Maidstone played their games at Dartford's Watling Street Ground. Club also played in various amateur leagues and the Southern League, which was the major semi-professional league in southern England until the formation of the Alliance Premier League, now the National League.
Yeah, it lasted for a good long time. 95 years is a heck of a lot of football, or footy, if you will. Let's go back to the beginning, though. Maidstone United formed in 1897 and played primarily in the Kent League, though after World War II they joined various amateur leagues such as Corinthian, Athenian, and the Isthmian leagues.
Now, it wasn't all good for the club, but matter of fact, some of it was bad. And so Their decline that we had mentioned earlier, the club was lurching into serious financial problems. It had spent large sums getting into the Football League, and the outlay continued after the promotion. Running costs were simply unsustainable, and attendances were falling as a result of their disappointing form. They were apparently not good.
No, and then it was not helped by the onset of a recession. Their finances spiraled out of control, large debts got run up, and then the club took a massive gamble. And without any planning permission, they purchased a piece of land east of Maidstone for 400,000, is that pounds?
Euros? No,
Euros?
not euros then. Pound sounds right.
Yeah, money units with a view to building a new stadium on it. But look, there's a long article here that was just pretty sweet, but it just did not make it. Eventually they were denied promotion in similar circumstances to a few other leagues. They were brought up to scratch, and they were admitted to the A-League eventually. Look, this is a football team who really, really tried hard, and all the time they were wearing their colors amber and black.
Now, the Biathlon World Championships also included people trying really hard and wearing their colors. Those colors depended upon the country you were from. You were probably wearing red, white, and blue. If you were from, you guessed it,
England.
Norway. Oh, well, maybe that's the problem. I hope they really coordinated their uniforms better. But the winner for that event was Norway, with a time of 1 hour, 14 minutes, 16.8 seconds.
So what are the events that take place in a biathlon?
I think a biathlon is just two people skiing, but I'm not exactly sure. No, wait, hang on. Is biathlon the one where they are skiing and shooting at the same time?
I couldn't tell you. That's why I asked the question in the first place. But I can tell you that though two things took place in this, even details such as the race starting at 3:30 in the afternoon. Second place was taken by Germany. Third by Canada. Austria got fourth. It went on from there, but only the top three did get medals, of which to take home. Looks from this little picture here, they've got little stick figures doing stuff. It kind of does look like people skiing and shooting.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but I think that's what it is. I think that it's definitely skiing. I know that's for sure. I know soccer's soccer. I know skiing is skiing. Okay, so biathlon, winter sport combining cross-country skiing with rifle marksmanship. So there we go.
Okay, yeah. Do you think that if the Maidstone United Football Club was able to include rifling into their game, they might have been more successful?
Yeah, probably not. I think they were doomed from the beginning. There were just so many things in this article that talk about really how bad it was. They had to cancel their first game, and then they were told that you can play if you can get some money, and they couldn't even do that. They moved 40 miles away from where they originally played. There were just so many really poor decisions that led to the demise of Maidstone United FC.
Well, like their nickname is the Stones, and like a rolling stone, they're going to tend to go downhill. Whereas I believe that the Biathlon World Championships 2016 men's relay was only on the up and up. And so I think that's why I'm going to have to choose them as my selection to move on to the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
I would really have to agree with you. These guys had the perseverance, had the speed, had the accuracy to be the best competitor in this round.
Yeah, and they're also on skis and armed, so who are we to deny them? And who are we to deny them access to the next round? Speaking of the next round, let's get in to round 6.
Making a turn around the last curve. He comes around the last side, and there you have it. There is your winner, round 6.
In round 6, we have John Pennyqueek, the engineer, against Vidgis Harsakar.
Okay, yes, we have two people that like to work with their hands. We had John Pennychick, a British Army engineer and civil servant, versus Vigris Harsakar, a Norwegian handball player who currently plays club handball for Biasen IL.
Now, John Pennyquick, it's Pennycuick, hence why we can't pronounce it. He served as member of the Madras Legislative Council, undertook several irrigation works, which included the masonry dam of the Mullaperiyar on the Periyar River. And in his early life, he was born January 15th, 1841, at Pune, a younger son of Brigadier General John Pennyquick and his wife Sarah. His father and eldest brother, Alexander, I'm assuming they're both named Alexander and they're not the same person, hopefully, fought and died at the Battle of Chillinwalla in 1849. He was educated at Cheltenham College.
Indeed, he was. And then he entered the East India Company Military College at Addiscombe, Surrey, in 1857. He was commissioned as a lieutenant in the Madras Engineer Group in December of the next year, and he arrived in India in November of 1860, where he became he did a lot of work and then became a second captain in October of 1870. And subsequently a major in 1876. He commanded the H Company at Zulia during the Abyssinian campaign of 1868. Looks like he took place in a lot of stuff. This is England taking over India, it seems, and he was put in charge of a bunch of things, including being president of the sanitary board and was faculty at the University of Madras.
Now, this is a man that really wasn't going to take no for an answer. He is most known for building that dam we mentioned earlier that was supposed to move a river so it could irrigate hundreds of thousands of acres of dry land that depended upon only that river for irrigation. And actually, it was rough sledding from the beginning. Large numbers of sandbags were destroyed in severe floods. There were many storms. The British stopped funding it, so he went out and sold his own property to continue building this dam.
And he had to come up with innovative ways to do so. He used lime and Sirke paste for the construction. Taking into consideration the gravitational force, this allowed the dam to withstand tremors and remain strong. He said, quote, "I am going to be only once in this earthly world, hence I need to do some good deeds here. This deed should not be progue, nor ignored, since I am not going to be here again." And he was no longer there as of his passing in Camberley, Surrey, on the 9th of March, 1911.
Now, his competitor, Vigris Harsakar, born July 16th, 1981, is a Norwegian handball player who currently plays club handball for Biasen IL. Now, she first played handball for Sjetny, but at age 14 transferred to Biasen, except for the year she went to France to study the language. That's nice. In 2 years in which she moved to Larvik. She's played most of her professional career in Biasen. So I think handball is that running sport where you can't throw the ball past a certain point, but it has to bounce. I'm not exactly sure how handball works.
Well, let me tell you, it's a team sport in which two teams of 7 players each pass a ball using their hands with the aim of throwing it into the goal of the other. And a standard match consists of 2 periods of 60 minutes. And as in so many sports, sans golf, the team that scores the most points wins. It seems as though she debuted on the Norwegian national team in 2000 at age 19, and since then she's played a total of 130 matches, scoring 334 times. She was part of the team that won silver in the 2002 European Championships and gold in the subsequent 2004 championships.
Now, she's a champion through and through. She's also twice won the silver medal at the World Championships in 2001 in Italy and 2007 in France. So we have a verified professional handball player with several championships under her belt against a guy that is responsible for probably many, many, many farms in India.
Well, and, he basically a flood, though, right? I mean, we're talking about, it looks like he was also a keen cricketer, it says here. So, he too was an athlete of sorts, but he was trying to manipulate the earth and the water to do his own bidding. And, an engineer, influencing great forces, for better or for worse, who am I to say? But all we do know is that he's been commemorated in a lot of different iterations. There's large granite plaques added in commemoration of his work. To the dam itself, there's, the plaque states, honors and things like that. Substantial granite cross and plinth. People really seem to appreciate him. I appreciate his comments, but was he a generally positive influence, you think?
Looking at the commemoration section in his Wikipedia article, a lot of these are from people in India. So this isn't just like a British guy who came in and other British people said, hey, great job. There's a bust donated from a southern state in India, actually, for him. And so it sounds like they really, really appreciated the work he did to the point where many people there viewed him as a god because he controlled water.
He certainly attempted to. And hey, who am I to judge? Some people say that God is in all of us. So, I'm not going to comment on that, but that's certainly something they said. If you want to say it about this man, go for it. I'm going to go ahead and say, on account of those people, that this guy should at least move on to the next round. We've had a lot of people that play football. We had somebody play handball. A lot of them have not made it. This one's no different. John Penny-a-Chick, you're moving on to the next round of...
The ultimate tournament dunk everything.
I think it's a man that did a lot of good work for a lot of good people and did it without help because he knew he needed it to be done.
I gotta at least respect that. When no money is being put into it and still it's gotta be did and you do it, there you go. And I think that on that note and with that spirit, we should go into the next round, round 7.
Round 7. Round 7. Round 7. Round 7.
In round 7, we have Noor Hakim against Pakravaske Raun.
We surely do. We've got here we go, a football player, an attacking midfielder, I see, versus a, Pokrovsky Rayon. Apologies for pronouncing that wrong, but it was a district in, it seems, southeastern central Ukraine.
Now, Mohammed Noor Hakim bin Hassan, the soccer player, of course, born October 2nd, 1991, is a Malaysian professional footballer who plays for the Malaysian Super League club Selangor. His pace and dribbling ability make him an established winger in Malaysia, and he previously played for MP Mar, Terengganu, the TT team, and PKNS. He's even won some honors, scored a couple goals. It sounds like this man is pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. Number 9 in your program. Number 1 in your heart if you happen to be a big fan of this guy. Let's see. He's only 31, so I don't know if his best football days are behind him. I'm not exactly sure what the cutoff is for a soccer player, but I'm sure they can go for a while. Looks like we've got a total of 21 goals that he's scored in the last, looks like, 13 years, something like that, 11 years. Pretty good football player, but as a midfielder, they're not asked to score every single day. They're asked to facilitate, to, make the team better and make sure that you're keeping the ball in front of you. Hey, football player, he's pretty good here, but just at a glance, he's not an all-star.
He's fine.
Like that. He's fine.
He's fine.
Let's see if our other competitor is an all-star of land here in Ukraine.
Pokrovsky Raion is a district of the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, southern central Ukraine. Its administrative center was located at the urban-type settlement of Pokrovsky. Guys, I don't know. It's Ukrainian.
It's a tough one.
It was actually abolished July 18th, 2020 as part of the administrative reform of Ukraine, which reduced the number of districts to 7. The area was then merged with a different district. Last estimate of population is 33,124, and with everything going on in Ukraine, I have to imagine that is now lower.
Well, at least temporarily. I know a lot of people had to get out of there, and they may be back. Hopefully, they'll be back. That's their home. This seems to look, conflict, whether it's on the pitch or in your homeland. That seems to be a shared element here between these two characters. At the time of its establishment, it had been consisted of 3 Hromadas, and you can go ahead and check this article out to try and pronounce these other names for yourself. Really need to look. I'm hoping that someday we get an article that teaches us how to speak other languages. Wouldn't that be handy?
That would be great, but
That
it's
would be
not
super
this
great.
one. We'll leave a link in the description, and you can go look at everything we're looking at and realize that maybe you know Ukrainian or Cyrillic or Russian or whatever the correct language is, but I don't.
Yeah, so, all right, we're simpletons. Let's break this down into simple,
Simple terms. Man kicks ball, place in Ukraine.
Well, when you put it like that, I'd have to go with the latter.
Yeah, I think I have to go with the latter as well, but there's not a ladder in this round, so I don't know which one I'm going to go with.
Well, okay, so we see on the map here, this is down near, so Ukraine, imagine Ukraine as a sort of a croissant, if you will, and this would be near the eastern, southern point there, the bottom right of that croissant, and that might be the tastiest part of a croissant. If you're going to grab a croissant, that'd probably be the first point that you would bite.
Croissant.
The ultimate tournament dunk everything.
Well, when you put it like that, I think only one has the power to make me hungry for breakfast, and that's a small town in Ukraine.
Yeah, I think so. It's probably, and knowing what's going on right now, this is likely a contested area. And so I think they need all the support that they can get. So, Pokrovsky Raion, you are our unequivocal and highly supported choice to move on to the next round of
The ultimate tournament dunk everything.
That's right, where everything's going down right now. I'm not sure when you're listening to this, because this podcast will be around for as long as podcasts are available. That's the nature of the internet. But, definitely this place looks like it's going to stick around at least longer than this football player who's still there and scoring goals occasionally.
Yeah, and definitely longer than round 7, which is over. And now it's time for the number after 7.
Round 8.
I say, would you by chance have any round 8?
Round 8!
In round 8, we have M&F Worldwide against Raggy, which is a name of people.
It truly is. And you know what? That's about all that we know about that name. What's in a name? We're going to find out shortly. What's in M&F Worldwide? Holy cow. Couldn't tell you yet, but we're going to find that out too. Let's get right into it.
M&F Worldwide Corporation is a privately held holding company based in New York City. It was incorporated in Delaware in 1988 and was formerly Power Control Technologies. The company was previously a New York Stock Exchange-listed public holding company that became part of the Ronald O. Perlman Group of companies. It was acquired by private company McAndrews and Forbes in 2011.
And Forbes?
Yeah, McAndrews and Forbes. I don't know if that's like a group. It's an American diversified holding company wholly owned by billionaire investor Ronald Perelman.
So Forbes is the people that rank all the rich people, right?
Yeah, but it sounds like this is not that Forbes.
Oh, okay. But it's a rich person unto itself.
It's a rich person who has a company that holds more things, also being a rich person.
Well, let's back up and talk a little bit about what this M&F Worldwide held. MAFCO Holdings acquired Abex Inc., an aircraft control system and hydraulic pump manufacturer, and then it merged into a MAFCO subsidiary in 1995, while the aerospace subsidiary Power Control Technologies, Inc. Became publicly traded. It seems that Powers Control then acquired in 1996 Flavors Holding Inc. for $180 million and included the licorice business subsidiary MAFCO Worldwide Corp., which manufactures more than 70% of worldwide licorice flavors.
Some of this makes no sense to me. So you have a company that makes hydraulic pumps, and then you're like, you know what we need to do? We need to make sure that hydraulic pumps also taste like licorice. So let's own 70% of the worldwide licorice flavors, which have to be just good licorice and bad licorice. Aren't there only two? There's red and gross. Those are the two licorice flavors.
Oh, I like the black licorice.
Okay, listen, you're right about so many things. Why do you have to be wrong about this?
Why do you have? You know what? There's two sides to every story, and there's two characters in every round. And I think we should get over to our other competitor, Rage. The surname and notable people with this surname do include Glenn Rage. And again, it's a short article. I'd like to give you all the information. This is WRAGE. So if this happens to be your last name, we're talking about you and yours, and we appreciate you, but you're not listed here. Glenn Rage, American actor and model performing in television, film, and video games, as well as the famous Greta Rage von Pustow, who lived from 1902 to 1989, a Chinese-born German dancer and teacher.
Now, a little known fact about Glenn Rage, he was the voice of Cranky and Spencer in the U.S. version of Thomas and Friends.
Nope, never heard of it.
You've never heard of Thomas and Friends?
Nope. Is that the train guy?
That's the train guy.
Oh, chugga chugga choo choo. That's cool. But that train, was he the one that could?
No, he wasn't.
Oh, so he was the train that couldn't.
I mean, all the other trains could, but only Thomas really had trouble.
Yeah, he did kind of struggle a lot, didn't he?
Yeah, all the other trains could. He was the only one where like, maybe he can, maybe he can't. And he's like, oh, I could.
Oh, but maybe I can't.
Yeah, but he usually did.
Yeah. And that's kind of how things go for most people, including, it seems, though, M&F Worldwide, they don't seem to have had any trouble because they had such significant financial backing. Looks like they were sold in a massive amounts. Their main subsidiary, Harlan Clark, agreed to sell for $1.2 billion with a B. This is, it's rich people selling expensive stuff.
Guys, listen, we know how this goes. The rich people have more money. They bought more money. They have more things. They got more money. Somehow a plane company owns a licorice company. I don't understand how any of it works. Just like I don't understand how to pronounce this name. I don't think I can separate the two in my head at this point.
I can, because you know what? This rage makes me want to do. It makes me want to rage against the machine that is financial institutions and things like that. And so I think I'm going to choose this beautiful surname as my choice to move on to the next round over this financial holdings company.
I think I have to go with you only because it makes no sense to me how any of those things work.
That's right. Trains are very complicated, and so are finances. But what's not complicated is that we just got to pick one. So, surname, Rage, you're moving on to the next round of...
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Well, let's buy round 9. Well, start round 9 before the guy buys it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just going to get more expensive from here. But before we do so, would like to remind you that you can check us out every single day. We've got scouting reports coming out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and on the unmentioned days, which are Tuesday and Thursday, we have full-length episodes just like that, which you are enjoying presently, where we pit 9 rounds, 2x2 competitors off against one another, choose victors in each round, and move them on to the next of the ultimate tournament of everything. Please, we would appreciate if you would rate, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends that the ultimate tournament of everything is ultimately the best podcast that it could possibly be. And it's always moving forward. And speaking of moving forward, it is time we move forward to round 9.
It's about time for round 9. Round 9.
In round 9, we have Mary Hayes Chynoweth against Kieran Suckling.
We have one individual who may have been able to see into the future. And we have another individual who looked to the past to see where things were going and might go and or disappear to. So let's dive right in to see who's going to be able to divine their way into the next round.
Mary Hayes Chynoweth was born October 2nd, 1825 in Holland, New York. She first exhibited mystic powers at the age of 5 when her sister was severely burned. They later moved to Wisconsin. That's a weird segue. Hayes Chynoweth was a school teacher in Waterloo, Wisconsin in 1853, and in 1854 she married Anson Hayes, a farmer. After his death, she then married Thomas Chynoweth, an attorney in San Jose, and he died 1 year after they married. You know, for having psychic powers, she sure didn't see either of those coming.
Yeah, we haven't really mentioned that yet. She was a psychic leader, a mystic, a founder of the, quote, True Life Church, and she was also an editor of a journal named True Life. She did have 2 sons, J.O. Hayes and Everest A. Hayes. This was, again, she lived from 1825 to 1905, so back a bit. However, she was able to see through bodies, allowing her to pinpoint their medical issues, taking their ailments into her own body, heal them using herbs, water treatments, optimism, obviously, faith, and dietary restrictions, including abstaining from alcohol, coffee, tea, and tobacco, and she was allegedly able to confer with patients who did not speak the same language as her.
Yeah, she apparently could figure out when things were going to go up or down, specifically the markets, and had her son's mine in an area 40 miles from Ashland, Wisconsin, and they found a bunch of iron, which helped them. They then moved out to California, built a mansion, which then burned down a year later. They built a new one, and that one still stands. They even named some of the area around them Edenvale. So it sounds like she had a lot of bad things happen that could have been avoided if her psychic powers were a little more particular.
Oh, a little bit, but it seems like in the end she was right. Even if you're not going to be, if at first you don't succeed, guess again. But she was not, ridiculed in her time. While in Wisconsin, she was able to treat such respected and high-profile individuals as U.S. senators, including William V.S., the Supreme Court Justice, Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice, William Leone, and Wisconsin Historical Society Superintendent Lyman Draper. She also believed that the divine spirit had blessed her and worked miracles through her. Let's see what kind of miracles our other contestant, Kieran Suckling, may have performed.
Born in 1964, he is one of the founders of the executive director for the Center for Biological Diversity, a non-profit conservation group known for its innovative approaches to the protection of endangered species, the wilderness, clean air, and clean water. He's infused the traditionally staid environmental arena with an unusual degree of creative energy, leading New Yorker to dub the center the most important radical environmental group in the country, and dubbing Suckler a trickster, philosopher, publicity hound, master strategist, and unapologetic pain in the bleep.
Yep, that would be your posterior here. The LA Weekly calls the center pound for pound, dollar for dollar, the most effective conservation organization in the company, saying of Suckling, Rimbound reinvented poetry. Kieran Suckling would do the same with environmentalism. So this is somebody who had new ways to get things done for the environment. Perhaps he too had some element of foresight and an extra sense that he was able to apply to his efforts. Looks like his parents and siblings immigrated to the United States from Ireland and England in the 1960s. Though he's the only member of his immediate family to have been born within these United States.
He was very culturally and politically active in college, editing literary and science magazines, organizing poetry readings, founding a chapter of the student Pugwash USA, working for the Massachusetts Public Interest Research Group, and even participating in numerous political rallies and teach-ins opposing the U.S. intervention in Nicaragua and advocating global nuclear disarmament. He studied a lot to do with language, and even his area of concentration for his doctorate was phonemology, I think is how that is, hermeneutics, deconstruction, anthropology, and religion. And he taught Introduction to World Religions and Introduction to Eastern Religions to undergrads in the Religious Studies Department at Stony Brook University.
Yeah, and he is still alive. He's still out there doing all that he can. He's continued to explore the deep psycho and social implications of the global homogenizing of biodiversity, language, and culture, and the essential relationship between environmentalism, the arts, and the rights of indigenous peoples and poor communities. His more recent works are an examination of the quote-unquote frog prince stories in Brothers and Beasts, an anthology on men and fairy tales, and in, quote, Three Catastrophes, One Sky, which was a reflection on mass extinctions and global warming. So we've got a couple of different types of people here. We've got somebody looking at where things are going to go based on how things are going, and we've got somebody who looked at how things were going to go based on her apparent psychic abilities.
Yeah, we have one man looking towards the future to make a better one, and one lady who could see the future, apparently.
Yeah, not the necessarily immediate future based on the stories that we've seen here, but the subsequent future. I mean, that house still stands. Looks like she was relatively successful. She's still here. It looks like in 1903 she founded the True Life Church, which may or may not still exist. I don't got a reference to that, but these are two very well-matched competitors.
Yeah, I guess the question is, if only we could ask Mary Hayes Chynoweth who we should pick, she would already know.
I wish she could tell us somehow. Perhaps we could channel her in this moment, though you and I, neither one of us, to my knowledge, have the sight.
No, I lost it. That's why I wear glasses.
Well, in that case, there's only one thing to do, and that's to leave it up to the randomness of infinity. So I say that, Rob, you and I hold hands and light some candles, make a salt circle, and wait until some mysterious spirit comes and tells us which we should choose.
I think that's a great idea if by mysterious spirit you mean random number.
Ah, yes, indeed. What are spirits if not, just digits in infinity? Plus, I frankly don't have all the time in the world to wait, and I'm out of salt.
Yeah. Random number it is. I'm going to go with the number 1.
Which one are you going to be pulling for?
Oh, I think I'll pull for Kieran.
I'm going to definitely throw a little extra weight into Mary Hayes Chynoweth. You're choosing number 1?
Number 1.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to keep it fair. Go 10,000. Let's see who is going to come out victorious.
I can almost hear her.
They're approaching.
Our number is 545, making Kieran the winner. Oh. Mary probably saw that coming.
By a long shot. I wish she would have conveyed that to me. However, she didn't get the chance to. Kieran, Suckling, you are moving on to the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Well, we've made it through 9 rounds looking at some of Infinity's best competitors, and you spent the last hour learning a little bit, laughing a little bit, and hopefully seeing the future just like Mary did. And I know what might be in your future, and that could be more episodes like this.
Absolutely. And if you want to find full-length episodes, that'll be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We do just like we did today, pitting off 2 competitors against one another, 9 rounds at a time to move them on to the next round. And every other day of the week, we do a preparation round. We do our scouting reports, just looking at one outside of competition, trying to get a palm reading on how we think they may perform when they inevitably appear to compete against somebody else in the ultimate tournament of everything. So we hope you join us for every single beat of that. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, check out our Facebook group, the Ultimate Tournament of Everything podcast, and we've also got swag on Redbubble so you can take your style into the next round. Speaking of the next round, we'll see you in the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.